So our next speaker that I'd like to introduce and I'd like to welcome is Sister Aasema Sayyida Razvi. She is an elementary school teacher at Rise Institute, where she combines her passion for education with her commitment for nurturing the hearts and minds of our youngest learners. Sister Asema's approach embodies the essence of Islamic pedagogy that Sheikh just explained, teaching with gentleness, structure, and love, helping the children see learning as both joyful and sacred. So please join me in welcoming Sister Asema Sayyida Rasvi. Thank you, Sister.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Alaikum
Thank you
salam.
for that enlightening uh, introduction and buffering up my resume here a little bit. I appreciate that. So today, like, I'm just going to start off with I am not an expert in any of the topics that I am about to kind of give you guys, but um, it's just a little bit of my experience, I guess, that I can share. And I am more geared towards kindergarten and first grade. I'm not, there's a reason why I don't teach upper elementary. But I can give you some insight on that as well. But my area is more, primary grades up until second grade is my forte. But inshallah, you guys will learn something from this presentation. So um, we're going to start with from behavior achievement strategies that support student success. So learning is not about how long you spend on learning. It's not about the duration, but it's about the strategy that you guys use to help each student learn because everybody learns at a different pace, everybody learns in a different way. So it's not about the length, but it's about the strategy that you guys use. All right, so objectives for the day. Today we're going to talk about how to plan. We're going to talk about challenges and strategies, 2 to 3 engagement techniques and procedures and rules, inshallah. All right, so preparing for class. I know that a lot of you guys I hear are volunteers for our Sunday school programming. So alhamdulillah, thank you for your efforts because we do need volunteers for our Sunday school. And I can kind of attest to that because not only do I teach full time, but I also am a teacher at Sunday school. Whether if you didn't know that either, for my colleagues here, but I only teach the namaz class over there. But there are steps for you to want to be there or preparing for class because you guys are volunteers, you guys don't do this full time, right? So there are steps to help you kind of get ready for your class every week. So step number one, right? You want to be there, right? Before you even start this whole process of Sunday school or being a volunteer for Sunday school, ask yourselves, do you want to be here, right? What is your intention, right? If your intention is, it's for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, if you want to do it to help better your community, you want to give back to your community, right? Then you're in the right place. If you don't, ask yourself, why are we here, right? Is this the right place for me? Do I want to be here every Sunday for the next, however many weeks for 3 hours at a time, right? This presentation will only work if you make it work. Okay. Step number 2 is if you know your intentions, you want to be at Sunday school every Sunday, know your learning goals. Okay. Which means now it's time to open up your books, right? Now I'm not talking about, it's 9 o'clock in the morning. I have to be at Sunday school at 10:30. What am I teaching today? That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about let's open up our books a week before, right? Because some of you guys might need a week to prepare. So take the week, take a couple days, but never plan the day of because students will know whether you have planned your day or not, right? Identify, so go over your lesson, identify what students should know by the end of the lesson, right? Whether it's knowledge, whether it's skills, you want to try and connect every lesson to akhlaq. You want to try to connect it to honesty, to patience, right? Islamic manners. You also want to try and do I can statements. Okay, so I can statements is by the end of this lesson of this lesson, I can, right, know or I will know how to prepare for class, right? By the end of this presentation, I can use 2 to 3 strategies in my class, right? So you're doing your I can statements for the students. What do you want the students to know at the end of your class? So you're going to start with your I can statements. And you don't need like 5 of them. I'm talking about 2, 3 max, because you don't want to fit so many in a 45-minute period. Step number 3, create a positive atmosphere. When students come into I don't know if you guys have rooms at Sunday school or you guys have like dividers, right? But stand at the door and warmly greet them, right? Salam alaikum, it's so good to see you. Set the tone for learning, right? You want to create that exciting atmosphere for them because they don't want to be there. We know that because they've been in school Monday through Friday. Now their parents are like, oh no, now I have to be here on Sunday too, right? So you want to make sure that you're setting an exciting tone for them, right? Oh, it's so great to see you. Thank you for bringing your backpack today. MashaAllah, so you're excited to see them. You're excited to, um, welcome them into your classroom. Um, and then again, when you start your classroom, you're creating a positive atmosphere where you're starting your lesson with a surah, with a verse, with a dua, with a Quranic a verse, and then make sure that you guys are reviewing your expectations or your routines if you need it, right? Especially those younger grades. They are forgetful. They will forget. So you want to always review either your rules or your routines, your expectations for the class. And then number 4 is to know your students, get to know them, right? Just like we do on the first day of school, in a regular school, you get to know your students, right? Just thing here, right? Get to know your parents. If they're too young, have their parents fill it out, right? So know what they like, know what they dislike, know their what activities they do outside of Sunday school, right? Talk to them about their weekend. What did they do? Right? Get them all excited. Number 5, plan for the lesson structure. So number 1 through 4 was all about your kind of like before you start your teaching, right? So 5 through 9 is all about while you're in the classroom now. Okay, so now when you plan for this lesson, right, you want to hook them in, you want to bring them in, right? So when you start a new topic with your students, you either start with like a story that's very exciting, you can do an activity with them, you can ask them a question, you can start it with the game, right? These are things to have students be excited, like, ooh, we're learning something new today. I wonder what it is, right? So when you teach, right, when you plan the lesson, you want to also do like an I do, we do, you do, right? So I'm going to teach the lesson. We are going to do it together, all right? And then you are going to do it by yourself, right? Whether it's discussions, answering questions, right? You're doing an activity with them, whatever it is, structure your lesson as in I do it, we do it, and then you are going to do it. So it's kind of like a gradual release of responsibility, right? So responsibility right now is all on you, how you're teaching the lesson. Then you're going to give some of that responsibility to the students, as in we are doing it together. And then you're going to have them, all right, guys, now it's your turn, your responsibility to do it all by yourself. And then when you close off your lesson, make sure you have review points. What did we learn for the day? Reflect, right? And then go over, hey, this is what we're going to do next week. Get them excited for next week as well, right? Step number 6, prepare your materials and your resources, right? Again, yes, it's important that you come earlier to Sunday school, right? So you are not scrambling last minute. Oh, I need 10 copies of this, 15 copies of this, right? So make sure you come, like 10, 15 minutes before school starts. Grab your materials, your color pencils, crayons, whatever you guys need, right? Gather all your teaching aids, whether you have manipulatives that you guys are doing, worksheets, slides, markers, right? You want to also make sure that you have all of that beforehand. And also, just in case, you always want to have a backup plan, just in case something doesn't work. Because There are things that might go wrong, right? So step number 7 is anticipate those challenges, right? Think about where students might struggle, right? Before, like I said, do your scaffolding strategies. If you have kindergarten through second grade, you might want to start with sentence starters, right? Start a sentence for them, have them end it, give them visuals, right? Don't just discuss, just don't talk like I'm doing right now, right? Don't do that for kindergarten to 5th grade because they're not going to get a lot of information. They're not going to save that information that you're just talking about, right? Also consider behavior management strategies, right? Consider classroom procedures. Step number 8, practice, right? Now that you have everything down on paper, let's go ahead and practice this. Practice in front of a mirror, practice in front of your kids, your partner, whatever you guys want to do, right? Go ahead and practice. And also make sure that you have a timer going on so you know how long it's going to take for each lesson that you're going to do. And of course, encourage them by, think about questions that you want to ask. And last one, step number 9, plan for assessment reflection. How can you decide what did they learn, right? What did they learn for the day? Verbal questions, quick quizzes, group responses, exit slips. Exit slips is just like, all right, here's your question. Here's a little slip of paper. Go ahead and tell me one thing that you learned today, or answer the question, or, it's something that you just want to know that they learned something for the day, right? And then you can think for yourself, right? After the class, what worked well, right? What adjustments do I need? How can I engage the students more? Did the students meet the objectives, right? These are all things that help you prepare for classes. Now, next one is some student teaching strategies, right? So now you're in the classroom. What can I do to help these students, right? Number 1, active learning. Number 1, 2, and 3 kind of all go together, by the way, okay? So number 1 is active learning, which means make sure that it's a variety of things that you have going on. You have hands-on experience, you have technology in your classroom, you have group work, you have independent work, you have movement going on, right? Instead of you just lecturing, right? Get a mix of different types of learning going on, right? Number 2, differentiated instructions. This might be just a tad bit harder, but it's kind of like you're offering different choices for different students because they understand things in a different manner, right? So if you're doing something, if you're working on a topic, right, you don't want to give everybody a project, right? Some of them are good at presentations, some of them are good with written work, right? So you want to kind of change it up in terms of how their learning styles are. Okay. Number 3, use visuals. Visuals is something that they can see. Images, interactive tools. You also make sure that you can explain in a better way. So if something is it's complex, right? You can use like kind of what I had here, like a diagram, or the word's not coming to mind right now, like a mind map, right? So you're kind of breaking it down step by step. Number 4 is learning goals. We talked about this. Have clear learning goals for the students. Make objectives clear. This is what we're doing today. And then go back to the why. Why are we doing this, right? What is the point of this, right? And again, it goes all the way back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We are doing this so we can learn for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Everything that we do is for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? Number 5 is incorporate students' interest. And we talked about this. Know your students, right? Once you know your students, you can bring in topics, right, that the students care about, and they will be more involved in their own learning because it's something that they are interested about. And number 6, we talked about number 6 as well, which is assessment and feedback, right? How do you know that your students learned something, right? So there's some assessments that you can give to your students as well. All right, now in our classroom, we will have behavior issues. Absolutely. In every classroom, you will see some sort of behavior, right? And behavior is how students act, how they respond, how they interact with their teachers, with their friends, with their space around them, right? So what causes misbehavior? Now, there's lots of things that can cause misbehavior in our classroom. Number one, internal factors. That could include that they're hungry, they're frustrated, they don't have a lot of confidence, right? They're just sad about something that's going on at home. They need some emotional help, right? That's a cause of misbehavior. Number two, external factors, right? It could be peer pressure. It could be distractions that are within the classroom. We have instructional factors. Instructional factors are the lessons are either too hard, they're too easy, they're not engaging enough, so I'm bored. So guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to distract my friend because I'm bored, right? And that's what's going to happen in your classroom when your lessons are too hard, too easy, and not engaging enough. And number four, environmental factors, right? My classroom is disorganized, it's too loud, it's uncomfortable, I don't want to sit here, right? This, whatever it is, there are lots of factors that can include why children are acting out, the causes of misbehavior. Now, how do we prevent these misbehaviors? Okay. The best behavior management is preventative, not reactive, which means set clear rules and routines, right? Teach them explicitly, right? Go over the difference. Today we'll go over the difference between the rules and procedures, right? What is the difference between rules and procedures? We'll go over them. Model expected behavior. Show what respect looks like. Show what listening, kindness, what does it look like? Model it. Use positive reinforcement. Praise good behavior. I like how you waited your turn, right? And or you can say, that's a great example. You are being such a model citizen for our students, right? Use positive reinforcement. Keep lessons engaging, right? Students behave better when they are actively involved in your lesson. So keep them engaging, keep them short. Build strong relations. So if you have that relation with your students, right? Like Milana was saying, connect over correct, right? So when you connect with your students, they feel cared for. And when they feel cared for, they feel loved, and they'll act out less. And last one, visual cues, right? Behavior charts, if you have them, hand signals, timers really help for those kids who need timers to prevent misbehaviors. Now, how do we respond to these behaviors? When behaviors arrive, we stay calm, we stay consistent, right? Redirect, all right? So if you see someone talking to a friend, let's focus on the task, please, right? Redirect them. Let's get back to the task, right? Remind them of the rule. Guys, remember, we have to raise our hand before speaking when someone speaks out of turn, right? Offer choices to them. You can either work quietly here in your spot, or you can go to the back of the classroom. Give them choices of where they can work. Apply consequences, right? Give them consequences. We know that this is Sunday school, right? But we still want to apply those consequences because they're going to keep repeating that behavior if consequences are not applied. And last one, reflect, right? Give the students time to reflect, to think about how to make a better choice next time. Before they head to lunch, hold them back, talk to them one-on-one, right? And last one, promoting positive classroom behavior, right? Greet students warmly each day, right? Teach and practice social emotional skills, empathy, problem solving, cooperation, right? These are skills that they need to be learned and need to be modeled so they know how to do it. Recognize good behavior publicly. You've been caught being good, right? We always caught the students who misbehave, right? Let's catch the students who are actually following the rules. Have a treasure box for them, a point system, a sticker chart, right? Recognize that good behavior that will promote positive classroom behavior, right? Ooh, I want what's in that box, right? Maybe I should do it too, right? When you promote classroom behavior and you're kind of like giving them a reward for it, other kids will want that reward and they'll follow along. And last one, encourage self-regulation. Teach them to calm down, breathe, counting, journaling for their upper grades, right? So we can slow things down in the classroom as well. All right, common challenges. Here we go. Here are some common challenges for kindergarten and grade 1. So if you're a teacher for kindergarten grade 1, here's your focus. Now we know their attention and focus is like the biggest thing, right? So what do we have to do, right? As teachers, keep the lesson short. I'm talking about 10 to 15 minute lessons. And guess what? It's time for a break. We're going to use a brain break, whether we are stretching or we're doing a movement, we're playing a nasheed, we're taking a walk, whatever it is, 10 to 15 minute lessons. It's time for a break. Let's get back to our lesson after 10 to 15 minutes, right? Incorporate hands-on learning. So again, if you just keep talk, they're going to get bored, right? So incorporate hands for their learning and their doing, for their fine motor skills. Add visuals, add colors, right? So it grabs their attention. Use attention getters, right? So if you want your classroom to like calm down, right? You get their attention by either flicking on the lights if you have your classroom, or use attention signals like give me 5 or 1, 2, 3, eyes on me, right? That way you'll get their attention. Following directions is another one for kindergarten and first grade, right? If they're having a hard time following directions, give them 1-step directions at a time, right? Have students repeat the directions back to you and then praise it. Thank you for following the directions right away, right? Give them that positive praise. Number 3, impulse control, right? They cannot control if they want to say something, they're going to say it, right? Which means they can't wait for their turn to talk or raising their hand, right? So that's something that we have to teach. So we role play, we model, right? Raising our hand, we walk quietly with rewards, with stickers, and social skills, right? Taking turns, sharing, listening, saying sorry. These are all skills that, that they can work on. Continuing on with 3 more common challenges. Emotional regulation, right? Happy, sad, frustrated, angry. They don't know how to always control that behavior, right? So talk to them. I see you. You're upset. Let's take a deep breath. Let's talk about it, right? Model calm behavior, right? There are children who throw tantrums. They cannot control their emotions, right? So you want to make sure that you are there to support them when they need it most. Transition means from one class to another class. Their class is ending, another class is starting, right? Start with countdowns. All right, guys, in about 30 seconds, we're going to start cleaning up, right? And we're going to practice transitions as routines, right? Or again, you want to praise them. I love it how you quietly lined up. I love it how you quietly, packed up your backpack, right? That's a transition, finishing up one activity and going to the next. And last one is independence, right? How to clean up their space, how to cut, how to ask for help, right? Encourage them to always, you try it first. If you can't do it, then you ask for help, right? Versus, all right, let me just do it for you, right? And then celebrate that independence. You did that all by yourself? MashaAllah, that's awesome. Right. Let's go ahead and move on to 2nd and 3rd grade. Again, 2nd and 3rd graders, they lack attention and focus. Again, for that, keep your lessons interactive. Discussions, whiteboards, movements, provide timers, give specific praise. I like how you're focusing on your Quran recitation, right? They always want to see that praise, right? They always want to hear that from their teacher. Number 2 is work habits, right? They are disorganized. They forget things at home. They don't know where their folders are, right? That stems from, something else there. But for Sunday school, have them come up with a color folder with a colored notebook, right? And then teach them how to keep them together, right? You don't want to just bring papers to Sunday school, right? That's not going to help. Number three is their relationships. Again, role play, right? How to be respectful, empathy, stop, think, and talk it out. Number four, emotional regulations. Give students breaks if they're too overwhelmed, right? You don't have to do it all in one day. If you need a break, go take a 2-minute break and come on back when you're frustrated, nervous, excited, calm. How can you as a teacher, right, teach students emotional support or emotional vocabulary? Yes, I understand that you're frustrated, right? But let's go ahead and talk it out, right? I love it that even though you were frustrated about this test or frustrated about this homework, right? I'm glad that you got through it, right? These are all different common challenges. We're going to continue on with second and third grade. Their confidence, right? Have them use a growth mindset. Instead of saying, I can't do it, right? It's too hard. That's a fixed mindset right there. Have them use a growth mindset. So use that in the classroom. You can't do it yet, the power of yet, but you're still learning, right? You will not be able to do everything at one time, right? So you're still learning. Encourage, encourage friends to, encourage your students to give positive feedback to everybody, right? Cooperative learning, peer support. Number six, respect and learning, right? Listen when others speak, raise your hand, nonverbal signals, line up, turn off the light, turn on the lights. Again, use positive phrasing. Please walk instead of don't run, right? Because we have a lot of kids who run. Instead of saying, hey guys, don't run or stop running, you can use please walk. Positive phrasing. All right. And last one, organizations and transitions. Again, a step-by-step instructions. Give them a 2-minute warning before transitions. And let's go ahead and move on to the last one of grades 4 and 5, right? Independence and responsibility, right? They are being more independent at that age. They want to do everything by them. They think that, they are the coolest of the cool. So you want to assign leadership roles within the classroom, whatever you can help with, or whatever they can help with in Sunday school. Give them those leadership roles. Also, respect and authority is a big one for our 4th and 5th graders, right? I know that they will try to get under your skin because, they think that they're above the rules, but you have to be firm with them, right? Be respectful with them, but be firm, right? Again, you reinforce positive behavior, right? So if someone disagrees with a student, that's okay, right? Praise them. Thank you for disagreeing respectfully, right? Then we have motivation, right? They're at that age. Oh my gosh, I already go to school 5 days a week. Why do I have to come to Sunday school? Right? Celebrate those achievements in Sunday school, whether they're big, whether they're small, right? Motivate them by celebrating their achievements. Incorporate projects that they have fun doing. Have them decide, do they want a partner or do they want to work alone, right? Give them the access of being kind of like the teacher, right? They think that you want to make sure that they are involved in their learning, right? So have them decide what they want to do. Organization is again a big one. So you want to post the homework reminders, have the students write it down, right? Color code, again, for the different subject of Islamic studies, Quran. I don't know if they have like Arabic or Urdu that they do, or Farsi. But again, you can color code. And last one is digital distractions, right? Set clear technology rules, right? Phones need to be put away. I do not need to see any phones. But if I do see a phone, tell them that it will be taken away, right? So you want to be firm with those rules that you have in the classroom. But these kids also need a distraction, right? They also have short attention spans, even though they're in 5th grade, right? So keep their lessons to maybe 25 minutes and then give them a 5-minute break and then come back to their lessons because they also need a brain break. So now when we go talk about brain breaks, right? Look at the ages of our brain breaks. If you are 4 or 5 years old, you're in a kindergarten classroom, right? The minimum that they can handle something is 8 to 10 minutes, right? And that's not a lot of time, right? So that's why when we say, when we teach a lesson, keep it short, right? Because they will not be able to sit for that long. 6, 7 years old, first grade, 12 to 14 minutes. So have a 15-minute lesson, max 30. You don't want to go past that because then you know that it's just going right above their heads. They're not learning anything there. 8, 9, what is that? Third grade, 16 to 18 minutes on the lower end. Fourth grade is 9 and 10, 18 to 20 minutes on the lower end. And then fifth grade, 11 to 12 years old, 22 to 25 minutes on the lower end. Yes. So you want to make sure that you want to keep it between these time differences, right? But you don't want to push it way too far where, well, it's a 9-year-old. They can handle 45 minutes. You don't want to push that because not everyone can handle 45. Not every 9-year-old can handle a 45-minute lesson, right? So make sure that when you guys are teaching a lesson, right, be aware of their attention spans. All right. So now, what do we have to do when we when we are done teaching the lesson, right? We did a 15-minute lesson. Now it's time to activate the brain by doing a brain break, right? Remember that learning, right, is structured in time intervals, right? So when we learn, we want to do in time intervals for maximum efficiency, right? So even if you're teaching for 30 minutes, that's not maximum efficiency. They're not going to learn at their best, right? 15 minutes, short time, let's go ahead and activate the brain in a different way, right? Just learning what you are teaching the topic about is not just activating the brain. Activating the brain can mean many things, right? So for kindergarten, first grade, you can use the 15-5 classic rule. 15 minutes of study time, 5 minutes of rest, right? Use a timer. All right, guys, we're going to set a timer for 5 minutes, right? And we're going to go ahead and do a brain break. And brain break activities can include yoga, you can do an exercise, you can take a walk. It's anything that you don't have to do what you were already doing within the classroom, right? So even though they're resting, don't think of it as a waste of time. Oh my gosh, I only have this much time. We're wasting time in taking a brain break. Guess what? Brain breaks are essential for brain recovery. If you want them to focus back in class again, they need to activate the brain in a different way. Give them a brain break where they're not focusing on what the lesson was taught, but they're doing something else, whether it's coloring, it's a drawing, it's Play-Doh, whatever it is, right? You want to make sure that you are taking that time to do something else besides just learn, learn, and learn. All right. So one thing that you can do within your classroom is called think, pair, share, right? And this works really well with your Sunday school students. But what is think, pair, share, right? Think, pair, share is all about you ask your students a question, right? When you ask your students a question, they think about the ideas or a solution to a problem or the answer to a question, right? Just have them think 30 seconds in your brain. Okay, now let's pair up with a partner, right? Go ahead, turn to your right or turn to your partner, right? And discuss with your partner, right? Discuss their ideas. What's going on? How can we answer this question? What ideas do you have? What ideas do I have? And lastly, let's go ahead and share it with the class, right? So it's called Think, Pair, Share. Now, the benefits of Think, Pair, Share, right? It increases more student participation and confidence, right? Everyone is getting a part to share their answer, right? Versus you calling on, all right, you over there, friend number A, what do you guys think? Or friend number B, what do you think of the answer? What about friend C, D, E, F, G, right? What about the rest of the students who don't get to share their answer, right? So when you do it in this group of think, pair, share, everybody gets everybody gets a voice, right? Everybody is sharing their opinion or their answer or their ideas, right? And then they're going to go ahead and share it with the whole class, right? And this, my friends, works with any age group, right? You can do this with a kindergartner, you can do this with a fifth grader. It does work, but you also want to also give a timer, right? You have to give a timer because you want to say, all right, guys, 30 seconds, think for your share. 30 seconds, talk to your partner. All right, now let's go ahead and share with the class. All right, last ones is procedures or rules. I believe this is my last slide. Okay, procedures or rules. What's the difference? All right, so in our classroom, right, we want to know the difference between procedures and rules, right? So a procedure is a routine. A routine is how students do it, okay? So it's something that you want to normalize in your classroom, right? For example, asking a question. How do you want the students to ask a question? That's raising your hand, right? So that's a procedure, right? Asking questions, raise your hand, right? How do you get the students' attention? 1, 2, 3, eyes on me, right? Walking in the hallway, that's a procedure. Um, Attending prayer, that's a procedure. Getting lunch. How do you want the students to do all of this? How do you want the students to go to lunch? How do you want students to get to prayer? How do you want students walking in the hall? Or how do you want students getting from one area to another? How do you want students asking questions, right? This is all procedures. And how do you teach these procedures? Model, model, model. Practice, practice, practice. You do it in front of the kids and you do it many times, as long as it takes, you keep doing it, right? Practice is how you model procedures, right? If students do not follow procedures, guess what? Model it again, right? But they should not be punished for not following procedures, right? So if someone is running in the hallway, right, we're not getting them in trouble for that, but we're telling them, all right, let's go ahead and practice walking in the hallway, right? Getting lunch, right? Let's practice getting lunch. Let's practice asking questions by raising our hand, right? So these are all procedures that the kids need to learn because they need to know how to do it, right? Even though they see you once a week, you're going to have to repeat it once a week. And number 2, rules. Rules are expectations. What students must do in your classroom, right? For your learning to be effective, right, you need rules and you also need procedures. But for rules, you want to keep them simple, you want to keep them precise, right? Guide students to help you create classroom rules, right? So pick on everybody. Hey, you over there, what do you think should be a classroom room? Student number 2, what do you think should be a classroom room? Student number 3, what do you think should be a classroom rule? So get everybody's input, right? And then as a class, go ahead and break it down so you have 4 to 5 rules. That's it, right? And keep them precise, right? So you don't want them like super general or super broad, right? Examples of classroom rules: be respectful to yourself and others. Raise your hand before speaking. Keep your hands and feet and objects to yourself. Follow directions the first time you're asked, right? These are rules. Rules can have consequences. Procedures don't have consequences, but you practice and model with them over and over again. Okay. Now, there are a couple of classroom signals that you can use so kids don't raise their hand and be like, may I go to the bathroom? May I get some water? Right? So that's taking away time from learning. So there are symbols or kind of like sign language that you can use so they don't have to interrupt your class. So for bathroom, you take your thumb and put it between your pointer finger and your thumb, and you can shake it like this. So someone in the back of the class is going like this, and you can be like, all right, student A, you can go ahead, right? They didn't have to disrupt the class and be like, Miss Razvi, may I go use the bathroom, please? Go ahead. Yeah, that's your signal right there without interrupting the class. Number 2, water. The W is for water. You can do it this way. You can go ahead and point it to your chin. That's water, right? And number three, give me five. Give me five is kind of like an attention getter, right? So you start with saying the word give me five, right? Eyes are on the speaker, your mouth is quiet, your ears are listening, your hands are free, your body is still, right? Once student get into habit of give me five, guess what? You don't have to keep repeating it. You don't have to say give me five, give me five. All you have to do is put up a five, and that's it. Students will understand, all right, Miss Razvi is asking us to look at her. Our mouth has to be quiet. Our ears are listening, our hands are free, nothing is in our hands, and our body is still, right? So these are some things that you can also apply to your Sunday school classroom. When you apply these strategies, you start to feel the change, right? Now, remember, these are consistent small changes. You're not going to see the change all in one day, right? So you're going to have to continue to do this every Sunday to help you apply these strategies, and then you'll slowly, inshallah, see the change within your Sunday school class. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sister Sama. That was really was some really valuable insight that you shared, and thank you for reminding us that the elementary students are so young. They come with hearts that are pure and impressionable. So dealing with them with patience, empathy, and consistency are at the heart of a successful teaching. And I'm sure we can all benefit from the strategies that you've shared for classroom management, and dealing with some of the behavioral challenges that we may sometimes face. I know we face them at Sunday school, and it's even more difficult because we don't see them every day. But these strategies were very helpful. We really appreciate it. Thank you so much, Sister. May Allah bless you for all your hard work. I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, Sister Dua, but I think we're coming to a break time now. But before we go for a break, I do want to pass it to Sister Wajma, who has a few announcements to make.
Thank you so much, Sister Homa and Miss Razvi. I personally learned a lot from you today. Thank you for that energy, for all that wonderful work, and for your time. We should give our audience about 10 minutes. We are okay with time and schedule. We should give our audience about 10 minutes to have questions. If Miss Razvi, you don't mind staying on just a few more minutes before we go into break. If you are okay, you don't have any questions, you're welcome to go on a break, but be back with us because we will go into our middle school session pretty shortly. So inshallah, let's open up the floor for questions. If you have any questions, raise your hand digitally or speak up and unmute yourself. Inshallah, we will do our best.
There are some questions in the chat box as well. I can read them out loud for those if you guys are wondering the same question. What is the maximum number of students you recommend in a class of 5-year-olds in a Sunday school? Someone was saying they have about 40 students in one classroom, which presents many challenges. And for kids as young as 5, because they are not independent at that time yet, they do require a lot of small group. They do require a lot of the teacher's time. I would say, like I said, I'm not an expert in any way, but I would say a maximum you want to have in a classroom with one teacher, the max is about 13 to 15 students. That's it. 40 students in one classroom. I hope it's a really big classroom with multiple teachers in it, because if you have 40 students in one classroom, mashallah, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reward you for all of that, because that is a lot of students, even especially for Sunday school teachers. But I would say definitely not 40. If it's possible for the school to break it down into 3 different sections of 5-year-olds, I think that might be better for the students. Also because they're also getting that attention that they need, versus, when you're in a classroom that is so big, there's at least half of them are getting neglected. It's sad to say, but they're not going to get the things that they need, within the classroom. So I would say 13 to 15 max, within
Yeah, Miss
a
Razvi, I'd like
classroom.
to add that I think if you have TAs, it may help. I
Yes.
still think 40 is a little too much. But if you are going to have more than 15 students, I know at our Sunday school, if that's the case, then we try to provide some teachers' assistance that can help. And it also depends on the age group, because if they're kindergarten or grade one students, the 5, 6-year-old, it requires a lot of effort and their attention span is even smaller. So I would recommend
Absolutely.
keeping those classes smaller.
Yeah.
But having TAs is an alternative that you might want to consider as well.
Yeah, they said that they have one lead teacher with 4 assistants. And I feel with that is, if you guys have 4 assistants and if the room is bigger, then I would definitely break up the 40 students within the 5 teachers that you have, right? So you guys can do the math of 40 divided by 5, and then each teacher will get that small group. That way, each small group is getting what they need. Yes. Go ahead, Sister Washma.
No, I'm sorry. I should have been on mute.
That's okay. That's okay. Right. So when you divide that 40 between the 5 teachers that are there, right, it's not as chaotic in the classroom, even though there's 40 of them, right? But they're in their own sections and they're kind of doing their own thing. And not only that, but they're also interacting with the teacher, and that they're getting that small group or that one-on-one that's much needed, with this age group.
All right, we have another question from Sister Lamis. Go ahead, unmute yourself, please, and ask your question.
Assalamu alaikum. Basically, I run Islamic kind of workshops for children. So it's not really a Sunday school. It's kind of like different workshops. We do teaching, arts and crafts, different things. So what is the best way you think to kind of get the children to move between activities? Because I have a ratio of 10 children to one teacher. There's
Yeah.
usually around 40 to 50 in the room. But I
Yeah.
like them to all come on the carpet for story time and go back. So what is the way to kind of control the room, please?
That's a great question. Yeah. You always want to start with a whole group, just because you want to make sure that everybody is there and aware of what's going on, versus giving directions to one set, giving directions to another set, and then directions again and again and again. So instead of doing directions 5 times because you have 5 different groups, I think it's great that you bring them all together first. Give them directions so you're not repeating it so many times. And then, when the space is big enough, you can go ahead. That is your group over there, and you're going to go with that teacher. I'd say that it really helps if you have a visual somewhere so the kids know what to do next. So if it's like table number A, you are with this teacher because you are reading a book. Group number B, you are with this teacher because you're doing an arts and craft. Or number C, you're doing whatever it is that you guys are doing, right? So every group will know where to go next if they have a kind of like a visual. And again, what age group is this, Sister Lamise? Whichever age group it is, right? You also want to make sure that you want to keep the age groups similar to each other, right? So if you have 5 to 10-year-olds all in one room, you want to make sure that the 5 and 6-year-olds are together. Oh, that's okay. 5 to 9. That's all right. Here, I'll give you the power to do that. Okay, so their age is 5 to 9, right? So again, you want to make sure that you want to keep them within their age group, right?
Yeah,
You don't want a
I split them into
5-year-old
two
and
groups. Yeah, I do. Sometimes there's 4-year-olds. I do 4 to 6 and 7 to 9.
okay, yeah, that
Yeah,
definitely works. Yep,
that's
absolutely.
good.
Just
Maybe having a
because,
visual because I do. They all do the same activity at the same time, so they're not moving between activities. So maybe just saying this comes after this. So when it's time, maybe I'll blow a whistle or something.
yeah, absolutely. Or you can set a timer. Absolutely. Timers really work for them as well. If you have like a projected screen, you can go ahead and project the timer. All right, guys, we have like 10 minutes to do this activity and then start the countdown. Or again, give them a general reminder if you have a mic. All right, guys, we're down to 2 more minutes until we finish this activity. All right, guys, 1 more minute before we, right? Give them that constant reminders. By the way, because there are kids, if they don't finish, right, if they need help transitioning to the next activity and they don't know how to do that, that's when problems will cause, right? They'll cause problems because they don't know how to, or I didn't finish this, I need to finish this, right? So, and if I don't finish this, it's going to be, it's not going to be very good for me because I need to finish it as a kid, right? Before I move on to something else. But yeah, I would also say because you have 4 to 6 years old and 7 to 9 years old, and you give them the same activity, I would kind of differentiate those activities just because of the ages, right? You don't want, if you're doing the same activity, okay, you do. Okay, perfect. Never mind. I didn't know if you had the same activity or not. Right. But if you did have the same activity, you kind of want to change it up because you don't want a 4-year-old doing the same activity as a 9-year-old.
Yes, I
Good
just make it
question.
a little bit harder, and because I have a kids magazine about Islam for ages 4 to 10, so I
Yeah.
have to tailor a little bit to kind of match up. Thank you so much.
Perfect. Thank you for sharing, Sister Lemise.
All right.
Um,
We've got 2 more minutes for maybe one or more questions, and then we will go into announcements and break, inshallah.
I gotta say, I'm digging the accent, Sister Lemise.
Thank
Yes.
you so much.
Yeah.
Any other questions
Any
from our
questions?
audience?
I think we need a brain break. I think we've been sitting for far too long.
We need a brain break ourselves.
We need a brain break.
Inshallah, we will go on a break. If there are no more questions, I can go into the announcements. Sister Dua, if we can open up the slide. Okay, we have one more. Lorado, if I pronounced your name right. So Sister Dua, let's go back to the question, inshallah. Sister Aasema, you do have a question. Lorado, please unmute and speak up. Ask your questions.
And there's one more in the chat.
Are you able to unmute yourself?
Oh, calming strategy. Oh, that's Alia. Okay, Alia has calming strategies. All right, let me go back through the chat real quick because there were so many messages coming in.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.
You're speaking to Sheikh Nurul Lerato from South Africa.
All right,
Can you hear me?
Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam. Yeah, I'm currently a madrasa teacher. So I'm dealing with the age group around 9 to 11 years old. So mainly the student that I'm dealing with mainly are young boys,
Mm.
So the challenge that I'm currently facing at the moment is bullying. There's a bit of bullying within the children, So they tend to do physical bullying, also at the verbal bullying stuff. So I don't know how to deal with it. So do you have any suggestions regarding the bullying matter within our madrasa children?
I'm sorry, bullying, I'm not sure what that is.
Bullying.
Oh, bullying. Oh, I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
Okay, bullying. Yes,
Yes.
that is like kind of like an ongoing issue, I want to say, with possibly any age group. But how do you deal with it?
Yeah.
I feel like the best way to deal with bullying is, man, there's a lot of factors that kind of go with that. And I would say is kind of just reminding the students. I feel like when you start kind of with how you would kind of if you start with like the Islamic adab and manners of how the prophets and the imams taught us the ways, right? This is something that needs to be instilled in these young boys. I feel like we need to also include parents, especially if it's something that's ongoing and it's continuous and they won't stop. It's something that we need to involve the parents. The schools need to make sure that there's no, if there is bullying going on, what is the consequence for their actions, right? Are they getting away with it? Are they getting, are the teachers doing something about it for these boys, right? And for those kids who are not bullying, right? Are we giving them the praise, right? We also want to make sure that, you know, when kids are bullying, right, we want to make sure that they know that this is not only right, but it's also something major in every school, right? And so because this is like a major no-no, like they should have consequences that is also major for what they're doing to the other kids, right? So I feel like when you involve the parents and you sit down with the families of these boys and you talk to them about the consequences of bullying, um, I think that is something that might help your situation. I think this is just one of the suggestions that I can kind of offer. Um, but Sister Wajma or Sister Homa, if you guys can help me out with this.
I think that's a very good question. We can definitely look into it more and get back to our audience, inshallah. If you currently, we do have 2 more sessions, so we will stop questions now. If you all can watch the chat, there's a link for a WhatsApp group. We are at your service 24/7. You can type in any question anytime. We will get back to you, inshallah. So please join that WhatsApp group. We will be live with you 24/7 on any question, any issue, any support that you might need. Let's go into our break slide currently. Sister Dua, if you can have that slide. I do have one announcement, inshallah. And you are
I
all.
want to add one more thing to that bullying thing. Is also you want to put up posters along like the madrasa, right? So it kind of reminds them of the kids of not to do it. Make sure you are doing lessons within your classroom, right? So make sure you are reiterating about bullying, have lessons, continuous lessons about bullying if it continues on. Have the kids role play, right? What could happen if you bully? So have them role play as well. I think all of these, inshallah, will help your situation.
Thank you so much, Ms. Razvi. We really enjoyed your time. Thank you all for your questions.